is Panorama on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ogochkuka Ona, and we are reaching you live from Abuja. 83 Nigerian students are off to Morocco for the federal government's scholarship. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, performed the ceremony to bid the students farewell. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
As one of the cardinal focus of the federal government, education at the bedrock for any has been receiving attention for revitalization. Apart from empowering the tertiary education TED fund to turn around the tertiary institutions, other students on different countries to pursue their studies in different disciplines with the hope that they will come back to the country to make positive impact.
This underscores the commitment of the federal government to supporting the young ones achieve their life aspirations. You abide by the rules and conduct of the country and the rules in the university where you are going.
The scholarship is a bilateral. They are going to be sponsored by the government of Nigeria and that of the government of Morocco.
Last week, 179 have left for Russia on bilateral education scholarship, while only a few days ago, 2,000 candidates scaled through online application and for another Commonwealth scholarship opportunity. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Nigeria must take advantage of the growing relevance of information and communication technology in national development by adopting relevant policies and guidelines to ensure the availability of credible, relevant and secured data in various aspects of the economy. This is coming from Ministry of Education, the Stakeholders Engagement and Sensitization Program on the establishment of the National Education Repository and Data Bank System and the national policy for its implementation. The minister posited that establishment of a National Education Repository and Data Bank System is a demonstration of the country's efforts to effectively cascade the benefits of digital economy to the sector by creating a centralized education content that would be warehoused and preserved in line with best global practices.
Through the net, Nigeria will have organic control of its stack of knowledge in its strategic national interest and for the purposes of economic development, national security, national prestige, for the benefit of today and future generations.
This will provide security for a large body of academic and intellectual property rights.
Documentation is key. If you don't document, you will not be able to innovate. And data is the new money.
The Education Repository and Data Bank System is a digital platform for the historical digitization of all academic and education outputs ever generated in the history of Nigeria to preserve historical knowledge, mainstream live digitization for extant education documents, and set up a credential verification system for the validation of all education-related documents. Now, the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, says it will continue to use its platforms for promoting peaceful coexistence and unity of the country, as well as support genuine efforts geared towards alleviating challenges of the vulnerable in the society. NTA's Director General, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, gave the assurance when he hosted support groups in his office. Tokpe Alabi reports.
These are members of the One Ummah, a consortium of organizations striving to improve the quality of life of individuals, and foremost is a decade-old scholarship program for the less privileged targeted at orphans and vulnerable children, especially those affected by the Boko Haram crisis, with financial, material and psychosocial support. Their mission is to commend NTA for its support and to seek for more collaboration as it is gradually meeting the target of supporting 1,000 pupils.
That program is one that is very dear to our hearts because some of the children have actually been orphaned, and for a lot of them to give them the semblance of a normal life, we started up this project in year 2015.
We have so far enrolled over 400 students in 3 states We intend to expand to other states and upgrade our support to university students.
The Director General, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, says NTA will continue to identify with and promote initiatives geared towards national cohesion.
Try to also solicit for support from the privileged ones so that they can assist the less privileged ones in the society so that the gap between the have and the have-not will be narrowed.
The management of NTA also received in audience a delegation of the West African Youth Mission. The group is in NTA to intimate the DG on the forthcoming 5th World Youth Peace, Security and Economic Development Summit, scheduled to take place on the 8th day of December 2023 in Abuja.
By so doing, Your Excellency, you would be contributing to strengthening our capabilities in the resolve to uplift millions of youths and women out of poverty.
The Executive Director Administration, Nansel Nimiel, challenged the youth to work on the observed vices in the social media as many youth spend more time on the internet.
We have a number of programs that we believe that WEPEM should use as a platform, to promote the ideals, of this mission.
NTA's vision is to be a world-class television network with a mission to provide excellent television service worldwide and project the true African perspective. In Abuja, Tokbe Alabi, NTA News.
Fatima Hassan is in Makurdi for the continuation of Panorama this afternoon. Fatima, it's over to you.
Joining us in Makurdi. A 7-man committee has been inaugurated to review the Public Procurement Act of 2007 to reflect the current realities. Inaugurating the committee, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, urges them to identify impediments militating against compliance with the Act, amongst other terms of reference. Kenneth Nanim reports.
Of 2007 provides an enabling institutional framework for transparency, accountability, value for money, and efficiency in the procurement of wealth, goods and services in the ministries and agencies of government. Having been in operation for more than 15 years now, the present administration is poised to review the Act in line with current economic realities. For the job to be done well, a 7-man committee has been empowered to take a holistic review of the Act, make recommendations that will strengthen its provisions, as well as develop a draft amendment bill for consideration by the Federal Executive Council.
This administration has seen the need to review and strengthen the provisions of the Act to make it more responsive to the needs of the people. The objective of this review is to ensure realistic procurement outcomes in the face of current economic realities and to enhance budget implementation and ease of doing business.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice will serve as chairman, while Permanent Secretary in the Cabinet Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation will serve as Secretary. The committee has a period of 1 month to deliver on this assignment. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Commander Operation Wild Stroke, Major General Sunday Igunawanya, says the force will continue to collaborate with other security agencies to tackle crime and criminal elements. He said this while parading a suspected child trafficker at the Tactical Air Command, Makurdi. Blessing Omeche Ebute has details.
While parading the 17-year-old suspected trafficker, Force Commander Operation Wild Sunday Igunawanya informed journalists on 30th of November 2020 upon troops on the town, Nasarawa State.
The ringleader of the syndicate on citing troops abandoned the children with Mr. Samuel Utu and the ages within the ages of 2 to 5. And some of these children cannot even pronounce or identify the names of their parents. They are this young.
Major General Igbolunwahia further disclosed that the suspect confessed to committing the crime but said he works for an Abuja-based woman.
The suspect confessed that the children were stolen or kidnapped from their parents at Angwar Kabir village in Shendam local government area of Plateau State, and were to be moved to Abuja to be kept under the care of Mrs. Tina Nkechi.
The underage children have been handed over to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, for further investigation. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA.
Panorama will be right back after this short break. Stay tuned.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Welcome back and thanks for being there with us. Benue State government has demonstrated commitment to revamp ailing and moribund industries in various local government areas as the State Assembly and the Executive have both placed the matter on the front burner. Charles Abba, who has been monitoring the situation, tells us more.
Over time, Benue stood to pride itself as an industrialized state with more than 25 industries in various local government areas. These include the Taraku Oil Mill, Benue Burnt Bricks Otukpo, One Tomato Processing Company, Benue Fertilizer Blending Plant, Kasinala Yam Factory, Benue Roofing Ties Limited, Ikyogen Cattle Ranch in Kwandi local government area, and the rest. Unfortunately, most of this infrastructure are moribund, a situation that has caged Benue as a civil service state.
We keep saying that Benue State is a civil service state because the industries are not working. But we are trusting that by the time this industry really come on board, we will change the narrative. So the effects are several. Our youth, our women will begin to have things to work with.
The State Assembly has considered the benefits of these companies and deliberated on the matter.
Particularly about my own in Kasinala, where we produce a lot of yams. These yams are being wasted away for lack of industry that was started here some years back.
It is very important for us to know that, like the arthritis says, these are industries that provided a lot of employment opportunities to our Martini youths. Not only that, it also gave, in the past, revenue to Benue State.
If they revitalize these factories, you will notice that the insecurity in the state will reduce drastically.
Commissioner for Commerce, Investment and Industry, Alumo Opin, who subscribed to the issues raised by the Assembly, indicated that industries are drivers of economic development.
We are promising and trusting that God on our side. Before this administration, by the time this administration is 1 year old in office, you will expect activities will begin to happen in many of these industries.
He expressed optimism that the state will regain its glory and march towards a better Benue when the companies are revamped and other strategies of good governance embarked on by the early administration begin to yield results. In Makurdi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
With me in the studio to talk more on the issue of moribund industries in Benue State is the Honorable Commissioner for Finance, Budget and Economic Planning, Benue State, Honorable Michael Ogleba. You're welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Benue State is used to be known as one of the most industrialized states in north-central Nigeria, but all that is now, it's like a story of the past. And you know, industrialization brings about development. The state of our moribund industry is quite worrisome. What impact do you think this will have on our economy, or it already has on our economy in the state?
Absolutely. You know, one of the reasons why they set up these companies in the first case was to use our abundant natural resources and the food we produce to turn them, to add value to them so that they can give revenue back to the state. When there's revenue in the state, tax revenues increase, the people are engaged. There are so many people who are employed down the line, apart from just the normal workings of the company. So all this has been lost over time because of this. This thing is not functioning. This company is not functioning.
Okay. So previous promises by past administrations to revive these moribund industries and also industrialize the state have not yielded positive results. Why do you think this has happened?
I think it's one thing to know the problem. It's another thing to know the solution and then be willing to solve it. I think all three, this government is well versed and able to do. One of the things that has happened over the time is that government has tried to sell off these companies in a PPP arrangement, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. However, you don't sell off something that you have not established the value.
Okay.
The value is much less than it should be. So the people of Benue have reacted appropriately.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay. Still talking about the privatization, and you made mention of the PPP. The previous administration came up with the idea of privatizing most of those companies, and it didn't really go down well with the public. Some persons even took the government to court. What's the situation of some of those industries currently?
Okay, you know, the people of Benue look back to those days where people like former Governor Perako in Sway, when they held Sway, and they hold those companies and these companies dear to heart. It's very personal to the people of Benue. So if you want to sell them off, you need to tell us why. You need to tell us who. You need to tell us the value of the companies. You need to tell us what you want to do with the money. You need to tell us how you want to plow the proceeds of this money. So all this was not done. So of course we expect people to react when you haven't engaged them sufficiently. Okay. And we are convinced that instead of sell, we should try and bring them back and let the people get value for it. If they were working and you want to say, okay, let government set up a part of it, so the private sector can come in with their money and their experience and run them, that's a different thing. But to sell them off at scrap value, that's why people reacted that way.
Okay. Despite the reaction, some persons still feel privatization is key because reviving most of these moribund industries involves a lot of financial implication, which they feel the government, it's like a heavy load on the shoulder of the government already. So they advocate that private individuals, companies should come in and assist, and also to debunk that belief that government, when it comes to managing of industries, they have that poor management attitude. What's your take on it?
Well, there's a difference between privatization and wholesale sell-off. So when you want to privatize an existing entity, it is assumed that that entity has some value. Let's take Otupo Bond Brakes, for example. It hasn't been operational for many years. The equipment are run down. Most of it cannibalized, right? So what are you selling off? Is it the building or the land? What are you privatizing? So it makes for all sorts of arguments. So in that case, you probably be just selling off. So if you want to privatize, I think the onus is on government to put those companies in a state that it will attract investment.
So that it will have more value.
Absolutely. And then this value is communicated to the populace in a way they understand. Because actually it is their property. It's owned by the Benin people. You must go back to them and get the right, get the moral justification for doing what you're doing.
Okay. So now that you have said this, what's the Reverend Father Hyacinth alias administration planning to do towards reviving this moribund industries and probably creating an environment for more jobs for people in the state?
Okay, so this is what we're doing. We're looking at those companies that will have maximum impact on the economy of the state and the economic situation where people find ourselves in. Take example, the one in the tomato factory. So you have a factory that should be operational. It can do two streams of. You can run tomatoes. You can also run fruit, a fruit line. Now, and if you go to Benue now, we produce a lot of fruits, but they all go to waste year in year out because there's no market.
We don't have proper management.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
There's nowhere you can't add value to it.
Ironically, Benue State produces the highest, up to like 70% of citrus in the country and soya beans.
I don't know the figures, but you'll be shocked that more than half of it will go to waste because you are not adding value to it. And then by the time, has the short lifespan, the fruits you remove from the trees will soon go bad. Mm-hmm. So if you bring back the tomato, that plant, for example, what you do is that you can have an outgrower scheme whereby people plant tomatoes and sell to these factories. You can employ a ton of youths in that activity. Now you have a guaranteed market for what to come out of that factory. So for us, for example, this is a low-hanging fruit. It's of high value, very high value.
Okay, yeah. All right. So revitalization of these industries would create more jobs for the Benue people, because right now the state is referred to as a civil servant state and the civil service is bloated. It cannot take everyone into the system. So finally, before we go, what's the hope for Benue?
All right, so it is one of the things that people must realize is that government, as government, our job is to create an environment as enabling for private enterprise to thrive so that they can employ people. Government cannot employ everybody. If you look at it now, less than just a fraction of people are employed in the formal sector. So a town of 4 million people, how many civil servants do you have? So the industry, the companies must come back to life so that people can be engaged down the line.
Okay, it's to boost our economy and also foster development in the society. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner, for joining us on Panorama today. Okay.
Thank you.
So moving on with Panorama is our sports update, and Gift George is our guide.
Preparations are well on the way for the hosting of the 14th Biennial Nigerian Police Games in Oyo State, scheduled for 2024. The Police Sports Fiesta will see over 35,000 officers from the Nigerian Police Force and other related service providers participating in a total of 35 different sporting events. Oyo State Governor Oluseyi Makinde announced this during a meeting with a prominent delegation for the Inspector General of Police. In Scrabble, the second edition of the West African Scrabble Championship commenced in Lagos Thursday, with players from host Nigeria, Ghana, and Gambia taking part in 10 games on the first day. The sub-regional tournament gives the players the opportunity to improve on their international rankings ahead of World Championships and ensure the development of the game as upcoming players get the opportunity to meet some of the best players in the sub-region.
If you do well in this sub-regional championship, your country will pay better attention to you and provide for you to be able to go for even bigger championships. For every point you amass on the way goes a long way to showing how important you are in the world of the game.
We meet all of our brothers in one place. We see where we can develop our games, how best we can also improve to the standards of Scrabble in the world.
In handball, as the second phase of the league gets set to end on Saturday, Bayelsa Queens and Benue Queens seal their relegation from the Andover Handball Premier League after they lost their matches on day 10 of the league Thursday in Lagos. Bayelsa Queens lost to former champions Plateau Peacocks 25-24, while Benue Queens was beaten by Seasider Babes 25-19. In other matches, Safety Babes is set to retain their title following the 35-32 victory over Delta Queens. In the men's category, a resurgent Bendel Dynamos, though sitting at the bottom of the table, defeated Confluence Stars 32-25, while Correction Boys got a win over Seasider Boys 21-20. With Sports Update, Gifts George, NTA News.
Panorama today. Do remember, be a star. Join NTA to fight against rape and rapists. Thanks for watching.